And good morning, everybody. Welcome. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, how are you this morning?
I am well, Eric, and you too, I trust.
I am good. Got a busy week ahead, and I know you do too. Practice today, joint practice tomorrow. Is there a joint practice on Friday? Did I read that correctly, or did they decide not to?
No joint practice on Friday. That'll be a walkthrough.
Right.
And then Saturday game. So second straight week with the Saturday game on it, and more of a regular season schedule leading up to it.
All right, football season is underway. Where are you going to watch your games this upcoming season? My suggestion, Sportsbook Bar and Grill in the DTC and Highlands Ranch. It's absolutely the place to watch all of your favorite teams. On Broncos Sunday, you can win a Broncos jersey every Broncos regular season game at each location. Plus, Sportsbook has Coors Light, and other great drink specials. They're also going to have 3 ticket giveaways this upcoming season at one of their 3 locations. Parker's not open yet, but it will be soon. The first one will be September 21st in Greenwood Village. And don't forget, for college football, that is the spot to watch it as well. If you're an Iowa fan, head on over to the DTC. If you're an Ohio State fan, make sure you go over to Highlands Ranch. Great place to watch games, outstanding menu. Every seat is a great seat in the house. It is a sports bar that was built by sports fans. So if you ever thought of building your own sports bar, once you walk into either location, you're going to say, yeah, I would have done this too. Sportsbook Bar and Grill. You can find them in the DTC, Highlands Ranch, and coming soon to Parker. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Practice yesterday, Bo Nix admittedly did not have his best day, but 2 guys who continue to have strong camps, Troy Franklin, Jonathan Cooper. So, Bruce, with the way Franklin was used in the preseason game against the 49ers, and with the way he's played in training camp, who do you think is going to get the second and third most snaps on offense behind Sutton? Not the most catches, not the most yards. Who is going to be on the field the most?
I think it's going to be Troy Franklin. And
I do too.
I feel like it's been trending that way for a couple of weeks now.
Yep.
He has been probably the most consistent pass catcher. Now he's getting a lot of targets, and he's doing the things that you want to see him do. He's catching the ball, he's creating separation. I think that he is the guy that has taken his time during training camp to move up the rung as impressively as anyone on this roster. Remember, there was not a lot of movement ready for this roster. You had maybe 4 spots that are going to be chosen on this roster. This thing was pretty much, nailed down before they even started. But for him to move up the rungs the way that he has in the receiving room, I think is a testimony to the work that he has put in in the off season, and then just where his head is right now. He's in a really good place, and he's a guy that's going to help this football team.
Does Troy Franklin potentially, with what he could do this season, to me, he reminds me a little bit of Nik Bonitto. Year one, you have expectations. I understand Franklin was a 4th-round pick, but he did play with Bo Nix. He does have speed. He did perform in college. But last year was less than memorable for him.
Right.
For Nik Bonitto, his first year, 2nd-round pick, less than memorable for him. The two, I'm not saying they have the same career arc. And suddenly, Troy Franklin, in a couple of years is going to be ranked number 38 on the NFL's,
right.
top 100.
Sure.
But it seems to me that after watching Nik Bonitto year 2, you're thinking this guy could really break out year 3. As we watch Troy Franklin go from year 1 to year 2, does it feel like a major step is on the way?
I don't know if I would go major step yet.
Significant. How's that?
Okay. I'll go with certainly a significant step, and maybe even a quantum leap. So I'll up the ante a little bit, but I'm not totally ready to anoint him yet. I need to see how he's continued to be used in the offense. I will say this: he's getting looks, and the dynamic between he and Bo Nix was always pretty good anyway, just because of the experience that they had at Oregon, et cetera. So, I mean, it was made to continue to work, but we're starting to see that now as a first glance. And I'm not saying that Courtland Sutton still isn't that guy, because I believe that he is, but Troy Franklin's next, I think, in the pecking order. I think there's a trust level with him. He's a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. But he's using that speed, Eric, that straight line speed, and that side to side speed that we've kind of been in love with even through his rookie season. But he's able to use that now to create space. And when he creates space and gives Bo Nix a moment to get the ball there to him, he catches it. So
I want to switch it.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
I want to switch it over to the defensive side. We talk a lot about Surtain, Bonitto, and Allen, rightfully so. Is Jonathan Cooper the most underrated player on this defense? Is he the best player that we rarely talk about?
I guess if we take him for granted in the right way, I don't mean taking him for granted in the wrong way, where you just you roll him out there. But we know what to expect from him now. It's kind of like I mean, the way that we kind of take Nikola Jokic for granted, right? I mean, you know what you're going to get. I'm not saying they're at the same levels of dominance in their respective sports, but in a similar fashion to Nikola Jokic, you just know that he's going to play hard, he's going to play well, he's going to be a difference maker, he's going to do a lot more to put his team in a position to win than he is the other way. And I see that from Jonathan Cooper.
What I'm about to say is not a knock on Nik Bonitto. Nik Bonitto is the best outside linebacker on this team. Is that right?
Yes.
And we're saying that because he sacks the quarterback a lot, gets a lot of pressures.
Yeah.
And by the way, he is underrated, I believe, in pass coverage. He is good at setting the edge. Yeah. Is Jonathan Cooper the best all-around outside linebacker on this team?
He's better against the run, so he's a more complete offense or defensive outside backer.
He's a 3-down guy.
Yeah, he
Nik
does all
Bonitto, you can make a 3-down guy, but you might want to save his strength for passing situations.
Yeah.
Cooper, you always want on that field.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I think they're both exceptional football players.
Yeah.
But the description is just a touch difference from Jonathan Cooper than it is to Nik Bonitto. I would agree with that.
And if you remember, Cooper and Baron Browning, a pair of Ohio State teammates, came into the league at the same time. Who was the guy everybody was talking about early on? Mm-hmm. Baron Browning. And rightfully so, and he played well. But Cooper has turned out to be just a better all-around player. Not a knock, certainly, on Baron Browning. With that, Bonitto got the day off yesterday. He was named number 38 on the NFL Network's Top 100. Bonitto just ahead of C.J. Stroud and right behind Travis Kelce. And by the way, on a side note, I don't know if you read the story on Travis Kelce on why he said his production has slipped in the last couple of years. Did you read that?
No.
He said it's because I've been doing too many other outside things, thinking about my career after football. It's not dating Taylor Swift. It's his podcast, being in movies. But he has said, not so much that I've learned my lesson, I've learned from my mistakes, but I need to spend more time playing football.
Well, I mean,
which is not good for the Broncos or the Raiders or the Chargers or anybody else.
No. The conventional wisdom is that this will be the last ride for Travis Kelce, and I think that seems plausible to me. You've got to respect him. I mean, he's even with the year that he had last season, he was still a guy who at any time could make plays that made differences in games. So, you don't. Travis Kelce is still a guy that can make a difference, and so you got to be careful with that. But I did notice that he and Taylor are doing an element of the podcast together now, right?
She's releasing a new album, Bruce. I know you're excited about it.
And Taylor's got the new album coming out, and she teased it on the podcast. So good stuff. You know what? I'm going to say this. I said this to my wife last night. They're cute. I like them together. I think it's great. And I don't understand pushback on the whole Kelce Taylor Swift thing. I can tell you what the pushback is. All right, good.
People wish they were them.
Okay, great. Now I got it.
They wish that they were a power couple. A woman wishes maybe, I would love to be like Taylor Swift for a day. A guy is thinking, I would love to be like Travis Kelce for the day. And think of all the beautiful babies they're going to have together. But my point is, when you have a power couple like that is polarizing, Taylor Swift is polarizing because of her, God forbid, political beliefs. Right?
Yep.
And then you have Travis Kelce, who is on a team where there's a lot of fatigue over the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, let's look at the last great power couple, Tom Brady and Giselle. Oh, so what? Tom Brady had a bad game. Look who he's going home to. Right?
Right.
How can you have a bad day when you're going home to her?
Yeah, well, I mean, right. Yeah, it's interesting. But it's we'll see how all of this plays out, because I have trust that Travis Kelce is going to be more of a difference maker this year, because obviously his emphasis is back on football.
When you look at power couples, for lack of a better phrase, and there are more than a few that certainly come to mind. But when I look at Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, to me, it is in some ways, and a lot of people are going to disagree, specifically people who don't like Taylor Swift, because people will say she's overexposed. People say about, Travis Kelce, he's overexposed. The difference between Giselle and Taylor Swift is that one is very public and the other one is a beautiful, successful model, but she's not out there in the public. Tom Brady, obviously, one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback of all time. But when he played, he wasn't as vocal and as out there as Travis Kelce. Remember, before Travis Kelce met Taylor Swift, he was one big, out-of-control, beer-guzzling goofball. Remember the championship parades? It was almost as if Patrick Mahomes was like, Travis, take it down a notch.
Yeah.
Okay?
Reel it in, big man. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
I don't want to get anybody upset when I say this, but in a lot of ways, you can make the case that Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are American royalty, like Prince, the Prince and his wife. Well, whether it's Harry and Meghan Markle or, Harry's brother and his wife, it's just two incredible cross sections of society. Taylor Swift is one of the greatest pop stars of all time. Travis Kelce is arguably the greatest tight end in by far and away the most popular sport in the United States. They are in some ways American royalty, and some people are jealous of it. They're tired of it. There's fatigue from it. I think it's great. I mean, it doesn't affect my life every day. I can tell you right now, if you can take a single shot of me, Alex, I would appreciate it. I can promise you, Bruce, Taylor Swift is not going to be replacing this guy
No.
anytime soon.
No, let's make that abundantly clear, and good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. We have represented the boss in the most important of ways on this podcast, which is going to give him so many good feelings and vibes down through the years, right? It's good stuff.
And by the way, Travis Kelce isn't going anywhere.
No.
His podcast is huge. He's starting to do movies and things like that. If you think you're tired of Travis Kelce now, wait till we see what happens with his career post-football. With that, let's get back to Nik Bonitto. If I would have told you that after year one, for a guy who was taken in the second round, yet the Broncos' first overall pick, people looked at Bonitto not as a bust, but a disappointment. And you really should never look at a second-round pick in general as a bust or a disappointment. But when you are the first pick of the draft of that team, sometimes there is the propensity to look at that guy as a first-round pick, even though he wasn't. He was the first pick, but not a first-round pick.
Yeah.
So if I would have told you after year one that he'd be ranked number 38 on the NFL's all-time list, you would have said what?
Prove it. I mean, certainly would have said prove it.
How about no way? How about this will never happen?
Oh, I don't think no way. I mean, I think
Come
anybody
on, really?
that makes no, really, yeah, really, because I think if you make judgments on first-year players, definitive judgments on first-year players as busts, I think that's a little short-sighted.
I'm not saying
you're doing it, but I mean, if people did that on Nik Bonitto, I mean, could I have predicted 3 years in that he'd be 38? No, I wouldn't have fostered that kind of prediction. But I certainly would. I don't think I ever thought of him in terms of a bust.
No. Okay, so let me just say this again. A disappointment. He was the Broncos' first pick in the draft. He was a second-round pick. Bruce, after year one, if you and I are standing next to each other at training camp, and I said to you, what do you want to bet that Nik Bonitto, going into his fourth year, will be ranked top 40 on the NFL's all-time list? You would have said to me, as a guy who doesn't control the finances in your household, I am going to bet everything on this and not even consult Sarah. That's how confident I am that you're wrong, Eric.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have been that definitive, but certainly the odds were against him at that point. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
With that, now that Bonitto is an elite company, you think he's going to be playing closer to 80% of the snaps. This is why I bring it up. Von Miller played an average of 80+% of the defensive snaps from his rookie year through 2019 when he was with the Broncos, when he played at least 15 regular season games or more. Last season, Bonitto got 61% of the defensive snaps, which shattered his previous high of 46 during his second season. So with that, with Nik Bonitto now in rarefied air, and when he eventually signs his contract, he will at the very least get the average of the top 5 salaries of the top 5 pass rushers in the league. With that, once he walks into that world, do you think they're going to start playing him 80% of the time like they did with Von, even though the Broncos still have Cooper, yes, on the other side, but they have backups like Jonah Ellis and Dondre Tillman?
No, I don't think they will. I think that's I think the rotation and the depth of this defense is its strength, and you want to keep that, as healthy as you possibly can. Will he increase his snaps? Probably. He has become a better defender against the run. He has improved in that area. He's still not great or elite as a run stopper, but But I think that you want to use your depth, and that's a rotation. And if you've got enough talent to make that position rotational, you're saving a fair amount of tread on the tire of your two top guys, who you always will want to use in the most important of situations. That goes without saying.
What percentage do you think he plays? If you had to guess, snaps on the field. He was at 61% last year. High water mark, if we're going to call it a high water mark, is Von Miller, where, by the way, his second season, he played 89% of the snaps.
Yeah.
By the way, Von Miller was hardly great setting the edge, and he got better in time and coverage.
I'll go anywhere from 68 to 73%, somewhere in that kind of realm.
As long as Tillman and Ellis stay healthy.
Right.
If Cooper stays healthy, I'll be surprised, genuinely surprised, if Cooper is over 65%, and I would not be surprised if he's under 61%.
Cooper?
Not Cooper, Bonitto.
Bonitto
was 61% last year. I'll be surprised if he's above 65%, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's below 61%. I think they want to keep this guy fresh. And oh, by the way, I'm not accusing the Broncos at all of cooking the books at all, but Bonitto's up for a contract. Do you really want to put him out there 80% of the time?
No.
Knowing what if he racks up 19 sacks in a season? They're not going to keep him off the field to sacrifice games in order to avoid paying him.
No.
I am not suggesting that at all. But the numbers are going to look a little bit better on the contract if he gets 14, 15 sacks. He had 13 and a half last year, getting the snaps that he does. To be perfectly frank, you don't want him at 21 sacks. You do as a team. As a contract, you don't. With that, Nik Bonitto is going to get a healthy raise. Clearly, he and his group are waiting, holding Peyton at arm's length until the Bengals sign Hendrickson, until Jerry Jones gets his act together with Micah Parsons. And once that happens, and both of those guys are between – well, Hendrickson will be about 35, 36, 37 million. Micah Parsons is going to be over 40. And when you take those two contracts, add them with the other pass rushers, that's going to come out to about $33 million a year of those five guys being averaged together. That is a healthy franchise tag. And I'm sure they'd be more than happy to give a franchise tag to Bonitto if he doesn't agree to a deal. But I do believe they will give him a deal commensurate with the average salary of the top five guys in the league.
Well, I mean, they've kind of proven that, right? I mean, isn't this kind of their way now? I mean, you look at how they've handled contract situations with key guys. You've got a pretty good, you've got a pretty good indicator of the way that they'll go, and I think that they'll go that way with Nik Bonitto as well. I think if people are wondering about the delay in this, I think it's more probably from Bonitto's camp than anything.
Yep.
And I don't know where the conversation is between the Broncos and Nik Bonitto and his people, but it is a prudent business decision. And I'm talking to a very astute businessman as my partner here. I'm sure you would agree, Eric. Yeah. I'm sure that you would agree that, hey, why do you need to be in a hurry when you've got two guys that are going to kind of pave the way to set a very different bar, a much higher bar?
Well, hold on.
This position group.
Why are you in a hurry?
Now, I know that the whole thing about playing.
No.
Because
why are you in a hurry?
To get locked up.
I'll tell you why you're in a hurry. What if he blows out his knee today? That's why you're in a hurry.
That's
why you want to get a deal done and guaranteed money as quickly as you can. Coming up after the break, we've heard the Broncos and Sean Payton talk about their Super Bowl contender, a serious Super Bowl contender. You have heard Sean Payton say about Bo Nix, I think this guy's going to be a top 5 quarterback in the next 2 years. And now one Broncos defensive player just said, I think our defense doesn't have a chance to just be good, doesn't have a chance to just be the best in the league. It has a chance to be historic. Who said it? That's next. Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a new Sea-Doo, four-wheeler, or the cash award from the Big Wheel Spin, plus $7,500 in cash. The grand prize drawing is the weekend of August 16th, and get finalist entries every 45 minutes from 10 a.m. to midnight during their daily cash drawing, with a locked-up jackpot of $100 or more. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos. Loose slots, great promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. And don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you gotta try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
And welcome back. Hot takes, Goodman and Haertl. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 5-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
I want to tell you a little bit more about Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Cody Ferguson started his business. It's called Fergus Sons because some of his sons work with him. He does have a son that doesn't work with him who happens to be a tight end for the Los Angeles Rams. Maybe you've heard of him. He's a pretty good player. And by the way, I am so happy for Cody and his beautiful wife, Dawn, on how they have totally embraced this. They've already been out to training camp. And what a thrill it must be to raise children in general, which you and I can both relate to, but to see what is possible for one of your kids, which they now have that opportunity to see. But then they have other sons working with them on the business. This is why I love Ferguson's Heating and Cooling, because they truly don't sell you something that you don't need. And it really bothers me when you have somebody come over and you don't know what's wrong with your furnace. You don't know what's wrong with your HVAC. They can tell you anything. What are you going to tell them? No, I don't believe you, which the answer from the tech back to you is, then why did you call me? Why don't you just go fix it yourself? right? With
Right.
that, Cody has told me many times that he understands that if it's just a simple repair, they probably lose money. And he said, I'm okay with that. He goes, everybody wants to sell something new, but we need to take care of our customers first. And if we fix something, it might turn into they need a new unit, but we need to do right by our customers. And a lot of businesses just don't run that way. It's all about making the money as quickly as you can. That's not the way Cody runs his business. That's why I only trust them when it comes to heating and cooling. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com. With that, we've heard a lot of, I don't want to say bravado, but a lot of confidence coming out of the Broncos, talking openly about being serious Super Bowl contenders. We know what Sean Payton said about Bo Nix. With that, here is another chapter in the book of Broncos heading into this season. Pat Surtain went next level with Kay Adams, who was at practice yesterday, as he believes this defense could be historic.
I think we have the ability to be mentioned in history amongst the greats, but you can't talk about it. You got to be about it, and that's with putting in the work every day. Everybody flying around to the ball, making plays, but with all personnel, you talk about Zach Allen, you talk about Nik Bonitto, Jonathan Cooper, DJ Jones, JFM, Malcolm Roach. Then you go to the linebackers, Alex and Dre, new addition. Then the secondary, you already know. But when you have that much talent on the defensive side, the sky's the limit. Now it's all about how can we control our own destiny and make sure we put out good tape and put out, good ball each and every week. So
best in the league going into the season?
I believe so.
Good on him. So, do you think by the end of the season, you have the Steel Curtain, you have the 85 Bears, you have the Ravens with Ray Lewis, you have the Seahawks with Cam Chancellor and Richard Sherman and Bobby Wagner, you have Tampa with John Lynch and Warren Sapp, you have the Broncos with Von Miller, and now the Broncos with Nik Bonitto and Pat Surtain? Can you swallow that and digest that right now?
Well, I can if they win a Super Bowl, because you just pointed out a Super Bowl winning defense. Every single one of them have won a Super Bowl and have been the main reason that their teams won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm good with confidence. I have no problem with confidence at all, especially when the confidence isn't ridiculous, when it doesn't sound silly coming from them. This isn't the Broncos of last year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. This is the Broncos that are building now. I think that we all agree that the arrow is pointed up, that they are moving into a phase of contention that heretofore over the last, 9 years, 10 years or so, they really weren't a part of in the AFC. So I understand that. There's a lot of hyperbole that has been used when you're talking about getting to the Super Bowl, when you're talking about a quarterback being in the top 5, albeit in the next 2 years, when you're talking about being a historic defense. We're not even really 3 full weeks into training camp. That's a lot of calling your shots. So let's get about the business of backing it up and building the truth in it, right?
When I was growing up, I was a huge Chicago Bears fan. I grew up in Chicago. So I'm going to go back to that 1985 season. I could not wait to watch Dan Hampton and Dent and Singletary and Fensick go on the field. It was going to be mass chaos out there for the other offense. It was so much fun to watch that defense. When you look at the Bears offense, a lot of people forget they were one of the, if not the top scoring offense in the league that year. Jim McMahon was totally fun to watch. You never knew what was going to come out of his mouth, what kind of play he was going to make. You had Walter Payton on that team, great offensive line. But for me, when I was a kid, it was like just score or punt or whatever. Just get the defense back on the field. I want to watch them wreck people, right? When you look at this team this year, are you more eager to watch the offense on the field or the defense on the field? And don't say 50-50, pick a side.
Well, either way, it wouldn't be very much. I mean, the difference between them, I think it's both very intriguing. Defense has built more of a foundation that they are building on right now, that they are. So there has been, you had a defense that a year ago, even though there was some weaknesses against defending the run and some things like that, still statistically, and you can't judge everything by numbers, that were generally considered to be one of the better defenses in the National Football League. They have added pieces to that I think we can all agree, if they are healthy, they could be a significantly better defense. That is pretty damned intriguing when you consider the point that they started at this year. So from that standpoint, I would say I would be more of a defensive guy, because I do think that they set themselves up to win football games with great defense, period. This offense is going to be a work in progress as the year continues. And I think it's going to have pretty good upside, and I think they are going to score. And I do think that they'll be in position to win football games, especially late. And I think that they will do that. But I think defense will be the main reason for, if this team is a contender at the end of December, I think the defense will be the main reason for it.
I say this with all due respect to Justin Strnad and Lavelle Bailey, okay, who have played well.
Yeah.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a hole in this defense if you're an offensive coordinator to attack. You could make the case, is Riley Moss going to take the next step? Is he going to stay healthy? But where do you truly attack this defense? There aren't holes.
No.
And that's what's so encouraging. And not only do they not really have holes, if any, with their starting 11, you can make the case they don't have glaring holes with all of their second team guys.
Yeah.
Glaring holes. Like, I wouldn't call PJ Locke out there a liability.
No.
I wouldn't call Chris Abrams-Drain a liability. Savion Jones, he's young. He's not a liability. Their second team. And that, to me, is what was so impressive about, in theory, what the Broncos did in that preseason game against the 49ers. Yes, we can sit and talk about how the first-team offense played and the first-team defense, gave up a touchdown. But the backups slammed the door. The Broncos backups embarrassed the 49ers backups. They just didn't beat them. They dominated them.
Broncos depth was, for me, the greatest takeaway. You're right. The headline is, Nick's and first offense produces just 3 points thanks to a defensive turnover to create that last possession to get the 3 points, otherwise do nada. Okay, so you get that out of the way. But to me, the biggest thing collectively under the umbrella is the depth that this football team has. It is a remarkable turnaround for where this franchise was 2 years ago. And they've done it still paying Russell Wilson $31 million or whatever the number is this year.
Right.
It is the most, for me, they seem to have hit on Bo Nix, so obviously that's a huge part of the element. But to me, the turnaround has come from just the depth that they've got. Not just defensively, but now on the offensive side of the field as well. They have built their depth from the core out, their offensive line. They've got really capable guys on that second offensive line right now. Palczewski is kind of a Midland starter in a lot of offensive lines, I think, around the National Football League. He anchors that second line now. The Broncos are in a much better position because of that. Obviously, they've got key pieces, but it's their depth, to me, was breathtaking against the 49ers, and I know that they're hurt by injuries right now. Their depth is pretty shallow, but the way the Broncos simply dominated that football game is a testimony to their depth.
In all fairness, and this is a compliment to Peyton and Peyton, it's not a dig on Peyton and Peyton. I agree. They're trying to get out from under that Russell Wilson contract. But they also, to your point, now have their quarterback under a team-friendly deal. The 49ers were able to build a roster around Brock Purdy and him making as much of the cost of this pen. That's in football terms. This pen costs $1. That's essentially what they were paying Brock Purdy. They could have all kinds of talent on the roster, right? So, and then throw into this, you have guys around the league who want to play for the Broncos. They've talked about, they like what Bo Nix is doing. Dre Greenlaw could have very easily gone back to San Francisco. Now, granted,
sure,
he didn't break the bank. Hufanga didn't break the bank. They wanted to be here, but they got good players, Evan Ingram. They got really good players. Granted, all of them were injured last year. Maybe that's one reason why, and probably is the reason why. The price was lower on those guys, but they wanted to be here. They came here. Greenlaw, could have made more with the Niners, couldn't he have?
Yeah.
Is that fair?
I mean, the Niners actually, once the deal had been made with the Broncos, the Niners came back strong, trying to get him to retain him. And by that time, the boat had left the harbor. So, which is if the guy stays healthy, they are going to be a real problem in the middle of the field, a real problem.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible day you can.